oh, well, it took him 7 years to do that. That's only an argument for Jim Harbaugh.
But it's the job of the coaches. Once they get them out of high school,
100%.
you teach the little things in college. By the time you get to NFL, they're not teaching these things in NFL. NFL, they want you to come in and be ready to go.
I mean, I would rather take a 2-star or a 3-star guy and put him with a coach that knows what the hell he's doing, instead of getting a 4 or 5-star guy in a program where that's your peak. Brian Matt on the YouTube chat, and I appreciate everybody's opinions, because opinions are like, you know what, everybody's got one,
Right.
and it's fine. I'm not here to argue with you about a sports opinion. Well, I guess I am, but
Ish.
Yeah. I've soured on Harbaugh. I need to see it to believe it. What the hell do you need to see? What was last year?
Fluke? Is that what he's trying to suggest?
And even if it was a fluke, it was done. It happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't a projection. It wasn't something that was fake.
Yeah.
It happened. Michigan won the Big Ten championship, dominated Ohio State, by the way. And yeah, they did not play their best game.
For the most part, dominated that team at East Lansing too.
Absolutely. In the college football playoff, it was what it was. Georgia was a freaking buzzsaw. And so is Alabama. And there's a reason why Ohio State is the only team that could probably ever compete on a stage like that with those teams in the SEC. SEC teams and USC, that's who wins the national championship. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
At one point, Clemson.
You know, yeah, sure, throw Clemson in. But it's
2 national championships and played
very
3.
difficult.
So
either way.
So,
but that coach, Dabo Swinney, didn't do it till his 7th year.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't hear, oh, well, it took him 7 years to do that. That's only an argument for Jim Harbaugh, not Dabo.
Yeah.
Good point, man. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Wanted to unpack a couple things, Alejandro said. He was talking about the wide receivers. I asked that question because, this is a pretty loaded room. You have Andrew Anthony, the new number 1. You get Ronnie Bell back. So the difference and why he could be right with that comment, because when he first said it, I was thinking of Donovan Peoples-Jones, I was thinking of Tariq Black, and I was thinking of Nico Collins. That receiving core should have been insane. That receiving core had a chance to be just as good as Jason Avant, Steve Preston, and Braylon Edwards. You know what happened? No player development. They didn't have player development. They had Joe Hastings was the wide receivers coach. He was a practice squad player when I was with the San Francisco 49ers. He had no business being the head coach. Not the head coach. He had no business being the college wide receivers coach for that team. Then they bring in Jim McElwain. Jim McElwain doesn't know anything about coaching wide receivers. Now, he's a head coach. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to him. Actually, a very nice man, by the way. But he's not a receivers coach. He's not going to get Nico Collins to that next level. He's not going to take Tariq Black's game to the next level. So this is why I agree with Jim Harbaugh in that conversation. You know who the wide receivers coach is now? It's Ron Bellamy. My big brother, my guy that hosted me. And he was coached by Eric Campbell, who's the greatest wide receiver coach of all time. Soup, hey boy, what's going on? But he was coached by Soup. He did his time with the West Bloomfield High School. He knows how to get that wide receiver. He knows the little things that they need to work on. He can see it in them, and he's going to help those kids up there become the best version of themselves. So Jim Harbaugh is right about the comment, but that's the caveat to why he's right, is because now they have a coach or coaches that are actually developing players.
That's what Alejandro kind of said.
Yeah.
He was disappointed with the basketball team because those players did not take the step up. Caleb Houston, Diabate, they did not take that next step. They were not coached up properly, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think you automatically assume you've got this great recruiting class. You've got these 5-star guys, and it's just going to happen. Yes, it has to get done on the field. You can have all the number just extended to the Lions. We say with Okuda all the time. Just because he's number 3 pick doesn't mean he's going to be some Pro Bowler. You still got to play. You still got to do the job on the field. And I think just because these players were great high school players that got themselves 4 or 5 stars to the left of their name in recruiting magazines doesn't mean they're automatically going to come in, translate to being these great players in college football.
But it's the job of the coaches once they get them out of high school.
100%.
Once they get them out of high school, that jump from high school through the 4 years of college, that's when you learn whatever position you play. That's when you learn the position. That's when you become a wide receiver. That's when you know how to break down on the left foot. That's when you know how to go up and high point the ball. You teach the little things in college. By the time you get to NFL, they're not teaching these things in NFL. NFL, they want you to come in and be ready to go.
But
so
Braylon,
you got to learn it in college. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're on the right track here because, I mean, I would rather take a 2-star or a 3-star guy and put him with a coach that knows what the hell he's doing instead of getting a 4 or 5-star guy in a program where that's your peak. However good you are now, that's as good as you're ever going to be because they don't know how to develop you. They don't know how to coach you. And I think Michigan State did a great job of that under Mark D'Antonio when he was there, when they were winning all those Big Ten championships and playing in the game. They take these 2 or 3-star guys, develop the hell out of them, and before you knew it, they were kicking everybody's ass.
Speaking of, go ahead.
I mean, you know, and then I think about Rashawn Gary, who is a really good pro right now.
But he was average.
At Michigan,
he was a neutral.
He was nothing.
Yeah.
He wasn't even the best lineman on the team when he was there.
And he was the number 1 player in college football, in high school football coming into college.
From Jersey.
But he got to Michigan, and that's as good as he ever was.
They didn't develop
him. He was as good year 4, year 3, as he was year 1 when he got there.
That's the other thing he said. Talk about David Ojabo. Everybody is so focused on losing Aiden Hutchinson, losing David Ojabo. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson breaks the Big Ten record, or Michigan record, excuse me. Chase Young has that record. But he breaks Michigan's record. Then David Ojabo was close and on pace to break the record at one point. But what people forget to realize is going into last season, Aiden Hutchinson only had 3 sacks. David Ojabo was a guy that was on the demonstration team. So who's to tell me that Mike Morris can't go out there and have a hell of a year? Who's to tell me Mozzie Smith, who started all games last year, he started every game last year, who's to tell me Mozzie Smith can't take that jump under Mentor's defense? So that's why I'm saying you got to be careful with saying, oh, Aiden and replacing Job. Yeah, they were hell of a players. They were mean. But going into that season, just like the Michigan team, nobody knew how good they were going to be or the potential that they had. So I think there'll be some guys on this team that can make a statement.
I'll tell you that, and I brought it up. I think the secret weapons on this team are the 2 tight ends, Schoonmaker and all. I think they're going to really step their game up, especially all. I mean, he's ready for a huge season, if you ask me.
I definitely agree. Those tight ends, with all the talent that they have offensively, how do you keep up? Because you can't guard everybody. But Braylon, you were reading my mind, and I hate it when we agree like this all show. I mean, it's
because everybody's always all they do is agree. Like, look, man.
Right, I hate that, man. But you're onto something, because how many people at the start of last year would have told you that Aiden Hutchinson was going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft? How many people would have said David Ojabo would have been a top 15 pick in the NFL draft? Nobody.
Dax Hill.
Dax Hill would have been a first round, besides me. Nobody in their right mind would have told you that. But they were developed. They were coached properly. They were coached by an NFL guy in Mike McDonald. And they are coached by another NFL guy in Jesse Minter this year.
100%.
So I think that matters. I think those schemes, I think that development process matters.
Not to mention these guys, you know who these guys are? And speaking of these guys, and Mike Morris and then Jalen Harrell, these guys were watching Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo for 365 days.
Without question.